Hello and welcome to the Long Island Weather Update. It's after 10 o'clock on January 13th, 2024. I know we're a little late, but, enjoying. I wanted to enjoy as much time in civilization as possible before I had to head back here. So you can see the clouds are kind of breaking up now. We're in and out of the clouds today, very windy conditions. And obviously the storm wasn't as bad as far as the power outages go, but there was still a lot of flooding. Before I show you what the skies are like this afternoon, and you can see we're in and out of these clouds. And then tonight, just very windy conditions. But the sky is actually pretty cool. We got these cool-looking clouds here passing by, and really, you can really see the stars very nicely. So this is definitely a very clean air match. You can see how well those stars come out here. This was taken in Garden City, and you can see just how nice and clean that air mass is. So let's talk about the storm. All right, we're going to go through the local storm reports, the wind reports, and the rainfall reports. Let's first start with the storm reports right now. Coastal flooding in Peekskill. Flooding along the Peekskill riverfront. That's right, the Hudson River is flooding. Wind gust of 59 miles an hour to hit the hills. Well, I guess the winds out east were pretty bad. 60-mile-an-hour wind gust at Plum Island. Coastal flood in Quogue. Southern end of Shinnecock Road flooded in Quogue. Coastal flood in Amityville. Parking lot road flooding along South Bayview Avenue and South Amityville with an average depth of water around 10 inches. Coastal flood around Copeg with Irving Road flooded. Coastal flood in Inwood, Queens. Roads, sidewalks, and lawns flooded with inundation 1 foot. Atlantic Beach had coastal flooding, 2 street and road flooding along B31 Street in Edgemere. That's far Rockaway, Wave Crest portion of the Rockaways. We have flooding in Old Howard Beach in Queens. Coastal flood in Battery Park, reported along the west side of Manhattan. Coastal flood in Baldwin Harbor. Coastal flood in Hudson County, New Jersey, and Kearney. Ongoing rescues from tidal flooding along Route 7. Coastal flood in Weehawken. Hudson River was spilling over the Weehawken Pier. Hoboken, flooding reported at Hoboken Terminal. I guess that might have messed up New Jersey Transit and path. Coastal flood in Hampton Bays. Flooding along southern portion of Shinnecock Canal, partially caused by wave splashover. Flooding in a wind gust in Mystic, Connecticut of 62 miles an hour. Wow. It's funny. I don't sneeze all day until I come back to this place. Air quality in here is very bad. So you hear me sneeze all the time. Let's do it this place. I don't usually sneeze that much when I'm on the outside. Flooding in Mystic, in Connecticut. Severe flooding in impassable roads along Gulf Street in Milford, Old Gate Lane. And coastal flood in Middlesex County, Connecticut, in Clinton, and another coastal flood in Fenwick. So, yeah, a lot of flooding out there and a big mess. Let's go to these wind reports now. And you see the wind reports are, we had a Great Gull Island, a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust at Great Gull Island, Napier 59. So most of the really strong winds are out east. And you see Farmingdale only got up to 48. So it's not as bad as the last time. But if you were right out east along the water, you still had to deal with some pretty strong winds. Let's go now to the rainfall reports. And you could see another 2 inches of rain in Shelton, in Connecticut. Saybrook Manor, 2 inches. 1.85 in Milford. Not as much as the last time, but still some areas in Connecticut, like Mystic, got 2.44 inches of rain. That's still a lot of rain. Bergen County, Ridgewood, the high amount, 1.59. Otherwise, mostly around an inch, which isn't too bad. Not going to read all of these. Passaic County, West Milford, 1.59. Problem is the soil's saturated, and even that amount of rain has trouble absorbing. In the Bronx, Fordham got 1.39. Brooklyn, 1.85. And then we go into Nassau County with Levittown getting the high amount of 1.89. Hicksville, 1.59. Merrick, 1.27. In Manhattan, in Midtown, let's see, the highest amount was in Washington Heights, 1.51. In Orange County, Tuxedo Park, see, that's not too bad, 1 inch, but still, it's a lot of rain. JFK Airport got 1.19 in Queens. Staten Island, 1.17 at the College. In Rockland County, 1.47 at Pomona. In Suffolk County, Baiting Hollow got against Suffolk County got the higher amounts, 2.14. Baiting Hollow, Miller Place, 2.04. Upton, 1.82. So hopefully those ponds are pretty full there. In Westchester, Portchester, seeing the high amount of 1.44 inches of rain. Yeah, it was it was a storm we definitely didn't need. Let's look at the rivers and lakes. We still have some coastal flood warnings in effect for parts of the coast here, and flood warnings inland because we still have the rivers and lakes which are still flooding. So let's take a look at these rivers and lakes here. And wow, we still got some red and purples here on the map. So we still have the Passaic River at Little Falls still in a major flood stage, with Passaic River in Singac, New Jersey, in a moderate flood stage. And look at this, even along the coast here, Toms River, Barnegat Bay here. We'll just pull this out a little bit, show it to you here. Barnegat Bay, look at that, got to moderate flood stage. They probably had some flooding along the water there. Barnegat Bay and Mantaloking as well. And we also have Mauritius Bay as well. Let's see, that has actually got up to a flood stage at high tide as well. A lot of these. Let's go Fire Island now. Great South Bay at Watch Hill. They got to a moderate flood stage. They're up there. They are up there. And let's look at Westerly, Rhode Island. We still have some flooding going on there. So we're still dealing with the flooding. And I haven't heard anything about Fire Island much on the news. So we have 16 gauges in flood right now. These are the rivers. But again, some of the other areas are going to be a lot worse off. And we just Fire Island. I mean, we don't know exactly what happened in Fire Island. Let's just see for a minute here, because Fire Island ferries. I think Fire Island ferries had to suspend service again today. Let's see if they did. They did not. I don't see anything here. But Sayville ferry service did have to suspend service. Let's see, Sayville ferry service, and I think they had to suspend service. I'm not mistaken. Yeah, all trips for Sunday, January 14th, have been canceled. Because of this. So they're still dealing with a lot of flooding there. And I'm still, we haven't really heard much about Fire Island, which is a little upsetting and annoying, to say the least, because this area's just gotten hit really hard, and we don't have anything new to hear about Fire Island right now. Because they are, again, they've just gotten really hit very hard by these storms. But luckily, it's over now. We get into some regular winter weather, and speaking of winter weather, you could see lots of wind chill warnings, wind chill advisories, some winter storm warnings in the south here, and yeah, if you go to like Dodge City, -4 in Kansas right now, very cold. The air is coming straight down into the Midwest. They're playing football in Kansas City in the single digits right now. Let's see if we can find Kansas City here. Of course, these layers are just too thick, and I always have to go, and I always have to change the opacity because you just can't see the cities. All right, here's Kansas City. So let's see. Kansas City, it is actually below zero in Kansas City. So they're playing football and below zero with -8. So this is Arctic air, and you can see it's going right into the plains, obviously, and very, very cold conditions here in a lot of these areas here. I mean, it's colder in many parts of Texas than it is here right now. Amarillo's down to 3 right now. So the cold air kind of went right straight into the Midwest, and let's see how it's gotten to the west. That it's not that cold in the west side. So it's mainly right into the Midwest here. This is where they get the really cold temperatures. Chicago is at 7 right now, so they're going to go below zero. We're not going to see anything that extreme, but looking at what we got going on right now, we're in the 30s. We're still seeing these wind gusts up 35-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and it looks like Islip got up to 44 for the day. And it was very warm today, too. We're going to talk about that, too, earlier on. We had the really incredible warmth this morning, and a lot of areas did get up to 60 degrees, too. So you could see, wind gusts up there, and you could see, going back to earlier today, you could see how warm and humid it was. 50s. We had fog. It was gross out, absolutely disgusting out this morning. And then once the winds became shifted to the southwest and then west, that's when we started seeing our dew points drop there at Islip. So we'll go look at our highs on the map, because you're going to it got pretty warm today. And then we'll all look at precipitation. Still gusting to 47. It's still very windy out there. It's still very windy, because when we look at the weather map, you still have this gradient between this really deep low and this high pressure coming in from the west. All right. So let's go to the radar. It's the other thing I want to look at here because we got the lake effect machine going as well up in Buffalo. And, of course, that's what the governor's concerned about. She hasn't been down here at all. She doesn't care about us. You can see some more snow over there in the Great Lakes area and some more out west. But as far as precipitation goes, we're done with most of it right now. So let's go to the map here and look at our highs and lows for the day. We'll go to first our highs. And we'll start with the highs because we got well into the 50s on Long Island, mid-50s, 57 at Islip. Look at this, near 60 in Nassau. Actually managed to hit 60 in Central Park, 61 at LaGuardia, and in the low 60s also. Toms River, Ocean County, low 60s there as well. Absolutely insane for January. The lows are obviously the current temperatures, so I'm not even going to bother showing them to you. But let's go back to the climate statistics for the day. And we'll go to Islip, and you'll see the high was 57. Did not break the record, but we were 18 degrees above normal for the high. The low was 21 degrees above normal. That puts us 20 degrees above normal for the day. And month to date, we have 5.08 inches of precipitation. That is well over what the normal value is supposed to be for this time, which is 1.62. So quite a lot above normal for rainfall. Let's look at Central Park now. Central Park got up to 60, and yeah, they didn't break the record, but they were 19 degrees above normal for the day, which is just incredible. Newark did hit 61, and they were 21 degrees above normal for the day. I mean, it's crazy. Let's look at LaGuardia. I don't see if anyone broke records today. 60. I guess no one broke any records today. Well, maybe Bridgeport did. No records broken, I don't think. We'll see. I guess we didn't have any records broken today, but ridiculously warm for the day. Absolutely ridiculously warm. I don't see any mention of it. And here they have a briefing about snow squalls for tomorrow, and that's what we're going to get into next. So we got an Arctic front coming for tomorrow, and our low pulls away, our really intense low pulls away, but we got the pressure gradient. You can see the Arctic air off to the west, and we're going to have an Arctic front coming in for tomorrow. So let's go to the northeast U.S. view and look at the HRRR and the NAM, which have been, all the miles have been showing this Arctic front, by the way. So tonight, we're probably not going to drop that much, probably drop to the upper 20s. It's when this Arctic front comes through that we're going to see the big drop. So here it comes. You can see here the HRRR. It seems like it's scaling it back a little bit now. But there could still be a snow squall with us. The HRRR wasn't showing it now, but it was showing it on the earlier run. And if we go back to the 20Z run, which might now, it's not going to go far enough out. And I guess we can't go back to the other run that we had. But we can go to the, yeah, it was showing it. Now it's not showing it. But we have this Arctic front coming through that's going to bring a big change as we get to tomorrow night and Monday. And then we'll worry about this storm here, which looks like a very light snow event, perhaps Tuesday. But I'll talk more about that tomorrow night. Let's look at the dew points and wind flow, and you'll see the change. So dew points are low, but you'll see what happens. You see the Arctic front right there. Behind the Arctic front, dew points drop from the 20s down into the teens to single digits, and that's your Arctic air that's going to be coming in tomorrow night. And that's going to bring the change. So you'll see temperatures drop into the upper 20s tonight. We probably get into the upper 30s tomorrow before this Arctic front comes through. And then that Arctic front comes through, we go below freezing, down to the 20s. And tomorrow night, we're going to probably drop into the to around 20 degrees probably overnight. So it's going to get very cold, and you're going to have that wind, so it's going to feel even colder when that wind comes through. So let's shift to some other models here, being that the HRRR took our nice little snow squall away. Let's go to the NAM. Oh, the NAM took it away too. I'm very disappointed. All right, so the earlier run had the snow squall, you could see, and it was really intense too. Look at that, even purples. But of course, it just took it away. So there's still the potential for a snow squall. The models could just be wrong. Though it definitely looks less favorable now than it did, and I'm really disappointed about that. It was really looking impressive, and now it looks like the energy is going to be more upstate. But the further north you are, the more likely you are to see the snow squall when the Arctic front comes through. That's rather disappointing. But there's still a possibility of the snow squall. We'll have to see what happens for tomorrow, and hopefully the models bring it back, hopefully. But they seem to have taken it away, unfortunately. FV3, let's see if the FV3 still has it. This is the 0Z run of the FV3. Still has it around. And again, this snow squall would come through, I guess maybe around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You can see there that it's going to come down heavy for a very brief amount of time. But it's not going to produce enough to put any snow down. But it could also be mixed with rain, perhaps. But this again looks. Let's go to the radar impression here. This is the radar with the wind. Actually, this is what I want. Let's go back to this. And you can see there's your Arctic front there coming through. So we'll have to see what happens. Maybe we'll just get cool clouds with it, but whenever it comes through, it's going to be, hopefully we get a snow squall with it. Just be prepared. We might even get a snow squall warning. I'm really hoping we do, because I love when that happens. But anyway, let's go now to the skies, and we'll go back to the HRRR for that. We'll take a look at some soundings and talk about the skies. So here we are, 15Z. The lines are kind of far apart at 15Z, but as we make our way to 17Z, we'll probably have a cloud build up. Yep, we certainly will as we get toward the afternoon. But there'll be sun mixed with more clouds, and toward the afternoon, again, when we get closer to that possible snow squall there. The HRRR seems to have it as rain. Of course, right. We can't even get a snow squall with an Arctic front. It's got to be a rain squall, right? We'll see. You'd think it would be cold enough to have snow. You think. Let's go to the other sky model, which is the RGIM. And we'll look at the skies as well for tomorrow on this. Oh, we're missing data. All right, well, we can go to the 18Z run, which is an old run. You can see here, that we'll start off with sun, then the clouds will build up. And then we'll have another additional bat of clouds there with that Arctic front. And then we'll have very nice clear skies tomorrow night. Unfortunately, we're going to have to watch Monday. We might have a mostly sunny day if we can get that cirrus to stay to the south. But right now, I'm not sure. Let's go to some other sky models. Being that we have the FV3 in. We're going to use this one as well to show you again. We'll start off sunshine, but then the clouds kind of build toward later on in the day with that Arctic front there that you see. So it probably won't be a mostly sunny day. Probably partly sunny, but we may have periods of time where it might be mostly sunny. But definitely toward the afternoon, definitely as we get toward noon and afternoon, like 1 o'clock, that's when we'll see that cloud build up. And maybe a snow squall, I hope. So that's going to wrap up this Long Island weather update. Thank you for watching and have a good night.